Hey true believers, this is Mr. Miracle, and today I'm bringing you a video about Galactus and Silver Surfer key books. So I wanted to start with these three books. This is what is commonly known as the Galactus Trilogy. These books came out in 1966. It's the Fantastic Four number 48, first appearance of the Silver Surfer, first cameo appearance of Galactus. Fantastic Four 49, first full appearance of Galactus, and Fantastic Four 50, which includes the Galactus Trilogy story. Very important books to put into your collection if you are a Fantastic Four collector, if you are a Galactus or Silver Surfer collector, being their first appearances. The moment that these characters show up in a Marvel movie, these books are going to spike in price. They are already have seen big increases in prices over the last couple of years, but the moment they show up in a movie, for sure you're going to see a big spike in price on these. There was a meeting that happened between Marvel executives and Fox Studio executives where Marvel was able to negotiate back a couple of characters from the Fantastic Four property. Now, I doubt they could have negotiated back Doctor Doom. It's too important to the Fantastic Four. If Fox wasn't to willingly give up the Fantastic Four outright after that last movie tanked so badly, they certainly wouldn't give up Doctor Doom. They probably would give up these two guys, and it would be two guys that Marvel would be very interested in having since they want to go more cosmic with their next phase of the MCU. So these guys could show up a lot sooner than we think. If Marvel already has the rights to them for a while, they could have been written into a script that we don't know about. The rumor is that there's a big rumor that Galactus might show up in Infinity War or Endgame. I doubt it. But, I mean, it could happen, but that's a big if. It's a really big if. However, these two characters will show up in a Marvel movie eventually. It might not happen till after the Fox Disney deal is completed, but they will show up. And when they do, the price of these books will almost become untouchable. So grab these books now if you have any interest in it. Okay. The next set of books I want to show you are Fantastic Four number 55 to 61. So this storyline is the next time we see the Silver Surfer outside of the Galactus Trilogy. So Silver Surfer has a small fight with the Thing in this book. It's not very huge fight at all. But the main storyline here is when Doctor Doom tricks the Silver Surfer to coming to Latveria to his castle and gets him to stand in front of a machine that steals the power cosmic and transfers it to Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom then, of course, imprisons the Silver Surfer in his dungeon and goes off to wreak havoc on the Earth and his enemies. He defeats everybody. Nobody can stop Doctor Doom when he has this power cosmic, and he decides to leave Earth, not knowing that Galactus put a big shield there to keep the Silver Surfer imprisoned. When he hits that with the power cosmic, he's almost killed. The surfboard departs from him, and he goes back to Latveria to the Silver Surfer, gives him back the power cosmic. The Silver Surfer escapes from Doctor Doom's dungeon and destroys Doctor Doom's castle on the way out. But it sets up a big dynamic between Silver Surfer and Doctor Doom that will continue through Silver Surfer's storyline, where Doctor Doom is always trying to somehow manipulate the Silver Surfer or steal the power cosmic in some way to use it for his own means. All right. So the next book that I want to show you is the Fantastic Four King Size Special number 5. So in this book, it contains the very first solo Silver Surfer book. And you can see down at the bottom there, it says, Special Bonus, The Silver Surfer Complete Feature-Length Thriller. Okay, so there's a story at the end of this book that is the first time that we see Silver Surfer on his own. An important book that a lot of Silver Surfer collectors don't realize that this is his first solo story and miss it. But this book is starting to pop up on people's radar and get more expensive, but you can still get it for pretty cheap now. An important book for Silver Surfer collectors. Of course, the next book I want to bring up is the 1968 Silver Surfer number 1. This is volume 1. This book is not only the first time we see the character have his own solo series, but it also contains his origin story, the story where Norrin Radd gives up or sacrifices himself in order to save his planet and his true love. He becomes the Silver Surfer. He agrees to be Galactus's herald. Galactus thinks this is a good idea because his last couple of heralds were a pain and didn't work out very well. But here he has a guy who's willing to do it, so he thinks he'll have much more control over his herald, and turns Norrin Radd into the Silver Surfer. And then Norrin Radd saves his true love, Shalabal, and his planet, Zenla. Okay, important book. Again, this book has been going up and up in price, and probably will see a price increase once we see the Silver Surfer in a movie again. And as well, that fantastic John Buscema cover really makes this a coveted book for all kinds of collectors. But yeah, the price of this book has gone up and up and up over the last while for sure. So the next book that I want to bring up is from 1982, and that's Silver Surfer #1, Volume 2. So they call this one Volume 2, but it is only a one-shot. And this book marks the first time that Stan Lee let another writer get involved with the Silver Surfer. And that writer was John Byrne. And it's the first time John Byrne writes for the Silver Surfer. And John Byrne really takes the Silver Surfer to heart as a writer, and writes several stories with him and Galactus that are very important issues to the whole story of Galactus. Now, but Stan Lee was quite upset that John Byrne got to do this book, because he always wanted to be the only writer involved with the Silver Surfer. John Byrne understood that and let Stan Lee write the dialogue for this book while he wrote out the plot line for it. So the next book I want to bring is 1987 Silver Surfer #1. So this book kicks off the Silver Surfer's longest running series. The series ran for 10 years, 146 issues from 1988 to 1998. Began kind of mostly a Galactus Silver Surfer book. Later changed once Jim Starlin took over the book at number 34 to include Thanos and Drax the Destroyer and Adam Warlock and the Infinity War and the Infinity Gauntlet. However, these beginning issues are really great as well. I don't ever understand why this one is not as collectible. I know there was a lot printed that has a lot to do with it. You can still buy this issue for $5, $10 max. But it's an important issue to put into your collection if you are a Silver Surfer collector. So now I want to bring up 1988 Silver Surfer #1, limited series. So this book is a really cult classic among not just Silver Surfer collectors, but comic book collectors in general. This book shows Stan Lee's return to writing the Silver Surfer. He did it with an artist named Mobius. Mobius did do a lot of like old heavy metal comic books. That's kind of where he got into doing comic art a lot. And he really brought that style to this book. And whenever I read this book, I feel like I'm reading a Galactus Silver Surfer story in some old heavy metal magazine from the early 70s. It is, like I said, a cult classic. It won the Will Eisner Award in 1989 for the best limited series. It was the second limited series ever to do that for best overall series. Definitely one you could pick up for super cheap, but great for your collection if you're a Silver Surfer Galactus fan. It's been reprinted several times. Like I said, here's a reprint from 2012 that reprints both issues. I like having that one in my collection. Okay, so let's take a look at a few Galactus books. If you're a big Galactus collector, of course, you want to get his first appearances, his first full appearance, but next you're going to want to get his origin story. And that appears in these three books. The Mighty Thor, number 167, number 168, and number 169. So in this story is the story of Galactus. A guy on a planet named Galen was who Galactus originally was. Galen's planet was being ravaged by disease, so him and a group of people decided to get into a spaceship and fly into the sun and go out in a blaze of glory rather than die from disease. On their way there, the ship was irradiated and the rest of the crew was killed except for Galen. Galen crashed on this planet. The radiation had changed him and he began to be able to absorb energy. Now he began to need to absorb energy and he was growing and growing, and one of the Watchers was watching and he healed himself and fixed his ship and flew off, and the Watcher says soon this being will need to consume entire planets to get enough energy to consume his hunger, and Galactus was born out of this guy Galen. Now in 1983, this book, Villian Classics, came out, and this book has a reprinting of these 3 books. However, it has some additional new panels put into the beginning of it, done by John Byrne. And John Byrne redefines the story where Galen is on a planet that exists pre-Big Bang. And when the big crunch happens, Galactus gets caught up, or not Galactus, Galen gets caught up, and his ship kind of crunches around him like a big egg, and he incubates in there for 1 billion years. And when the Big Bang happens, he is released and becomes Galactus. Okay, and then the rest of the story pretty much the same as that are in these books here. I really think that John Byrne redid that story for Galactus in order to set up the story that he was doing in this magazine, Epic Illustrated. Epic Illustrated from issues number 28 to 36 contained the last Galactus story, which is the story that John Byrne wrote, which is very Galactus-centered. Great story, one of my favorite Galactus stories. Unfortunately, it was a 10-part story. Only 9 parts were published, and then then Epic Magazine was canceled before the 10th installment could be published. And it never was published. John Byrne later wrote up a synopsis of what he was going to do with Galactus in the 10th part, and it's kind of mind-blowing to when I read what he was going to do. But this is an excellent story, and it really helps to define the whole idea of why Galactus even exists at all. And it's really great, and John Byrne, I think, is sometimes a very underrated writer, and this is one of his best writing stories in my opinion. So another story that has to do a lot with Galactus is, of course, Marvel's Secret Wars #1. This story, a bunch of heroes and a bunch of villains are taken to a planet called Battleworld by a being called the Beyonder. One of the villains is Galactus. Of course, he gets there. He's not interested in fighting superheroes or villains, and he's going to do what Galactus does, and he's going to consume Battleworld, which becomes a very stressful point for the heroes. You do not want to be on a planet that Galactus is about to consume. So now the heroes realize not only do they have to fight the villains that have been sent there, they also have to either get off the planet or stop Galactus somehow from consuming Battleworld with them on it. It plays into a lot of, just how Galactus' mindset is towards other beings and how much his hunger drives him. I think it's an important Galactus story, and this whole Secret Wars is a good series in general just to collect into your collection. But if you're a Galactus collector, Secret Wars number 1 to 12 are definitely something I would put in my collection. Okay, so honorable mention, I wanted to put up this book, The Fantastic Four, number 243. Great Galactus cover on here. Galactus shows back up on Earth, and of course it's him against everybody. We've got the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, Doctor Strange all taking on Galactus. The Doctor Strange really shows just how powerful the Sorcerer Supreme is when he does something to cause Galactus to scream and go down on one knee. It's a really fun story. John Byrne again taking the reins with Galactus here, and not a super big key, but definitely a fun Galactus collectible for any Galactus collector. Another honorable mention I'm going to put up, and I like having this book in my collection, is Marvel Treasury Edition number 21. Fantastic Four, Behold Galactus. So this book reprints the Silver Surfer, or the Fantastic Four, number 120 to 123, which is a big Silver Surfer Galactus story in Fantastic Four books. I really like it because it does get a new cover, and it's nice and big that you can put on a shelf, and it looks really great next to your comic collection. And I really like having these Treasury editions, so it's a honorable mention in my Galactus collection. As well as I would like to put this book up. I don't normally collect modern books, but this variant here by Granov, really caught my eye. This is Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5, number 12 variant. Probably the best Galactus cover I've seen in a long time. Best modern one for sure. Just blew me away. Like I said, I don't collect modern comics, so the fact that I even picked this up is testament to just how awesome this cover really is, and would be a great collectible, especially if you are a modern comics collector. Okay, so that has been Silver Surfer Galactus keys that we've gone over, and some of the reasons why you should be collecting them and putting them into your collection like I am. And this has been Mr. Miracle. I hope you enjoy this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.